little bit of I'm going to hit some of the key points on this idea of transcending cruelty. How to go beyond cruelty. What does transcend mean? Transcend means to go beyond. So transcending cruelty. How do we get beyond that? What about mean people? People who are mean to us, bullies, these types of that type of behavior. There's basically two concepts I want to introduce to you here, and then you can go on the website and read. There's a blog essay that I have that gets into this in a little bit greater detail, but I want to hit some key points with you in the last few minutes of today's session to kind of get your mind thinking about this. Down the road, I'll probably give some seminars on this as well, longer versions of even what I get into in the essay. But there's two basic concepts that we want to talk about: transcending cruelty and the importance of being important. And those of you who haven't checked out the 30th November website yet, from 30th November 2014, so this was a couple of years ago now, almost. The idea of the importance of being important was introduced in that presentation. So you may want to go check that out, this video. Just type 30thnovember.com, 30thnovember.com. You have to stick the TH in there, 30thnovember.com. Go to that website and you can watch the video, and there's some other articles and so forth there. But the idea of transcending cruelty and the idea of the importance of being important, especially, were introduced at the end of that presentation. These two concepts may be new in the way we're languaging them, but they're not new concepts in terms of experience. So let me explain to you what I mean by this. So first of all, let's step back for a second. What do we mean by cruelty? Cruelty is when someone enjoys inflicting pain or unhappiness on somebody else. That's the basic definition of how I'm using cruelty here. It could be physical pain, it could be emotional pain. Either way. All right? And why are people mean? Why are they exhibiting this cruel behavior? Why do they do that? What's the motivator? Ironically, the motivator for that type of what we may consider bad behavior is the same motivator that motivates all of us to do anything. It's the pursuit of happiness. They are in a mode, and sometimes when I say they, hey, I've been mean sometimes, you've been mean, we've all been in this mode sometimes. And but ultimately, why are we doing that? We're doing it because we're trying to pursue this goal of happiness that everybody has. Be a little bit happier. But the ironic thing there is, how does the person who's in that bullying mode need to make him or herself feel happy? They have to make themselves feel happy by making other people around them feel less happy, feel unhappier than they're feeling. So I always say, as compared to what, So as compared to how they may be feeling when they're feeling in a bullying mode, they don't realize, they're not real self-aware at the moment. And when I'm in that mode, I'm not real self-aware. But if you were self-aware, you'd realize that you're feeling not so good. And therefore, to make yourself feel better, you make other people around you feel worse. And by bringing other people down and making them feel worse, you feel, yeah, I'm feeling better all of a sudden. My life isn't so bad because look at their lives. I've made their lives more miserable than mine, so mine's not so bad. Then you feel better. It's the underlying source for cruel behavior. It's interesting if you think about that. So, and ironically, in order for that person, that bullying, we'll just call the bully, that bully to make him or herself feel better and better and better, he or she has to make more and more other people around him or her feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And you've seen this. We've all been in these situations. We've been, at family gatherings. Very often they can get pretty dysfunctional in some families. And you've seen it. You've seen that the aunt over there making other people feel uncomfortable. And why is she doing that? And then you'll watch her. You sit back and observe these people, and when they're in that kind of bullying mode, and they'll continue doing it, and they do it more and more. And they'll egg people on, won't they? And you kind of think, well, why are they doing it? That's why they're doing it. They're doing it in their own, albeit selfish, pursuit of happiness to make themselves feel better. They need to make more and more other people around them feel worse and worse, feel more miserable than they are feeling. So it's the idea that I referred to earlier as the importance of being important. So making herself, this aunt who's sitting there at the Thanksgiving, after the Thanksgiving dinner, making herself feel more important in her own mind than the other people around her. Bullies do it all the time. I'm more important than you are. I'm the best. You're small. I'm big. I'm strong. You're weak. That's the bully mentality, isn't it? So now let's just segue for the last couple of minutes and talk about this, introduce this idea of transcending cruelty. How do you get beyond that? How do you deal with it if you're, well, let's first, before we talk about if you're being bullied, let's talk about the bully. Well, first of all, by definition, the bully, whether it's that person or whether it's me in a really tired state, because we've all been there, we've all been a little bit mean sometimes, a little mean-spirited. And typically, if we're really tired or hungry, our blood sugar's low, that's when we're most susceptible, isn't it? What's going on? If we were able to be more self-aware, we would realize that what we need to do is eat, get centered, go meditate, go take a nap. That's nipping in the bud when you're a more self-aware person. The less self-aware people, it's going to take them probably many lifetimes to figure this out. But that's, free will. Everybody is responsible for their own life. They'll have to figure that out when they can. But by sharing these ideas with you, maybe we can spread the seed of knowledge as it relates to this around the world a little bit. And maybe even some of the bullies might go, maybe that wasn't so good. Because think about it. What does that mean? The bully ends up creating a world around him or herself full of weak people. What kind of world is that to kind of create? Miserable, weak people all around you. Strange, but not my idea of an ideal world. But again, back to this idea of how to help the person who's being bullied is to recognize that, first of all, what's the bully doing? The bully is doing this for the reasons that I've already outlined. So just to be self-reflective, that's the first step, to realize why the bully's doing that, okay? And then the second thing is, we'll come back to that again in a minute, but the second thing is to understand and realize that each of us, are sovereign minds. What do I mean by that? You can go on the website and you see essays where I talk about this in greater detail. But just in a nutshell, I mean, we are independent minds. We're free thinkers. We have free will. We can think on our own. We can make decisions on our own. We can make choices at any time on behalf of our own life that's different from what somebody else may make and what's different from what we may make at another time. We always have free will to make these different choices. And because of that, the best way of dealing with a bully, if you understand that you have free will, they're not controlling you. You are in control of yourself. That's what I mean by a sovereign mind. The best way to deal with a bully is to throw a monkey wrench into the works. Do something out of character that that surprises them. It will confuse them. In other words, what are they expecting? They're expecting you to cower. Oh, yeah, whatever you say, I'll do whatever you say. They expect you to be controlled by them. Well, don't do that. Don't be controlled by them. Crack a joke. If they're inflicting pain on you, emotionally or otherwise, laugh in their face. It may be difficult to do at the time, but the point is, do something different that they don't expect. You see this. You watch a James Bond movie. When James Bond is being tortured, and that's a little bit extreme. I'm not suggesting that you go out and look for being tortured, but what does he do? He does something different that the other person does not expect. It upsets the person. That creates an opportunity to release oneself from that control, either emotionally or otherwise, that the bully is trying to inflict on you. And what will the bully do? The bully will then take the path of least resistance and go to somebody else. He or she will leave you alone because you're a pain in the neck. You're not easy. You're not an easy target. So that's in a nutshell, okay? There are all kinds of permutations and what if this and what if that we can have in a longer discussion. But I just wanted to plant these seed ideas with you. Think about this. And like I said, you can go on the website and read a longer version of this in my essay on Transcending Cruelty. But again, great to see you. Any other questions, feel free to text me. You know how to reach me. Any other questions about meditation or about this idea of transcending cruelty, the importance of being important, that concept. Any questions about any of this, feel free. And check out the website for my the foreword of my new book that will be published soon. And I'll see you again in a month. Okay? Next time, we're going to be talking about perfection. I want to talk about this idea of perfection. It came up in a conversation recently with somebody. And this idea of perfection, I was talking actually with my daughter and about a friend of hers. And this idea of perfection is a real source of suffering, I think, for many people in the world. And I'm going to talk about this idea of perfection next time we get together in March. Okay? So great to see you again. Have a great month. Talk to you again soon.